Hello there, so welcome back to the second part of the Twiddle muffle. Now, let me get you up to date. So, I've done my outer body, I need to sew my lining together and I need to sew my head on. I know, which, you know, not many people can say that, can they? Now, before I sew my lining in, I'm going to make use of the fact that I can get my hands inside and I can sew these buttons on. Now, if you're just joining us, basically what we're doing is we are making a muffler to keep the hands warm, but we're attaching all sorts of interesting things and interesting textures to keep the hands busy. If there's say a problem with Alzheimer's or something, then it's just to sort of bring back the memory, and you know, whilst they're sitting quietly, then it really does help. And you do have the feeling that you're giving them something, you know, you're giving them something to do, even if they're just sort of sitting in a chair very quietly. So the idea behind it, and it works also with children with ADHD apparently, and it's a good thing. Now, the only reason we're making it an animal is because the carer can go, oh, I've got your horse here, have your horse. It really is only that reason that it is a specific animal, you know, because we could quite happily do this and it would work just as well if we went through and we found loads and loads of little bits and we just made a muffler and sewed it on. But for the carer, we have to sort of name it, and as we love horses, well, I do, we're going to do that. So I did attach this piece of canvas ribbing for the top of curtains, but I've decided that I'm going to make it shorter, so I'm just going to trim it off there. I've got my sewing machine here, and instead of folding it once, I'm going to fold it twice. Now, the reason I sewed this on as the girth is that you don't just want soft textures, you want rough textures as well. Not enough so that they can sort of wear their skin out or anything, but just so that they can, it's not all super soft. Okay, so I've stitched my girth on, which I've made shorter, and I've double hemmed that. So now we need to stitch this head on. Now the head's all finished, it's got matching eyes now, and I've trimmed his forelock. His forelock? I don't know. Well, I've trimmed that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I'm sewing it the right way round. So if I have to sort of place him and then push him in and then even have another go and then maybe have a think about it, then I am going to. There's nothing more annoying, is there? So yeah, I know they say measure twice, cut once, but we're gonna sew once. Okay, now as you can see, I am literally fighting a lot of cloth to go under my foot. It's no problem. There's nothing here that's going to be difficult to sew. It's just going to be sheer weight of fabric. So yeah, think of it like cutting butter. Now I may have said this in the first video, but always make sure, even if your foot doesn't go down, you've switched your foot down. This just means that the bobbin is now engaged, and yeah, you know, they're clever things, these sewing machines, and it's like a safety thing. So alright, I'm just threading the needle. Oh, it's just so not good at this. I'm okay when the camera's not on, I can do it straight away, but when the camera's on, I'm a bit, oh, I think I must shake or something. Let me pause it. Okay, so I'm back with it. Another thing I should have said is make sure this stuffing is all pushed out of the way, so we've got this as flat as possible. So, and if you want to trim the ends, then you can do. So, back where we were, check that the horse's head is on straight. Okay, now what I'm doing is I've left myself some hem allowance on my lining, so I am folding my lining over the top of the raw edge of this. Why am I doing it that way? Okay, so what I've got here is my horse's head, and I am folding that edge, the lining edge, the outer edge over, and then I am pulling my lining across. So now I have buttons to worry about, I have all sorts of things, but what I'm really concerned about is not tucking anything up that shouldn't be there. So I'm 100% sure that my foot is down, even though it's not got anywhere to go, but there's nothing here that's difficult to sew, it's just sheer volume. So alright, well, nice and slowly, I'm assisting it by pushing it because I want everything in, and I am just pulling that over. So now it's going, I can literally pull it. I know that sounds terrible, but I can literally pull it. So a couple more stitches, then I'm going to make sure that I have my other side of the lining over, and that I'm giving myself a wee bit of hem allowance. So I know, I have a feeling I have a button or something, but oh, never mind, we'll carry on. There we go. And if you want to just assist it by hand, that's fine. You know, you have to think, well, what actually am I sewing through? And you are sewing through quite a few layers here. So, and sometimes we just have to check that we haven't got anything that we shouldn't have. Now when you are pulling fabric, do be careful that you're not actually pulling it so much that you bend the needle. Yeah, I've done it. I'm sure I'm not alone in that. Okay, so just double check that I've got everything and nothing more, and then away I go. No, there's definitely a button there. Okay, so foot up, hearty tug, undo the foot so that we can just double check that everything's all right there. So, and yeah. I'm going to put my foot back on. Now, okay, you've probably seen them in the shops and you probably know exactly what I mean. And denim needles. Now, the denim needles are apparently stronger and they don't break. But I'm with the school of thought that we actually want the needle to break rather than break the machine. So, you know, it's worth considering. Should we avert his eyes so we can't see what we're doing to him? But if this just does not work, then what we can do is we can just hand sew it, you know. That's more than fair, isn't it? Okay, so the middle bit's getting a bit tough. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this out and I'm going to sew this half, which is a bit thinner. So, okay. Yeah, I can see exactly what I've done. It's not catching on anything. I don't know how good you can see that. I've bent my needle, which is a Fiona thing, so. But he is getting there, you know, he really is. All I need to do really is to stitch this last bit up and to stitch this bit up at the bottom. So, Now, packets of needles, I have hundreds, and they are just standard ones. I use the same packet for my overlocker as I do for my sewing machine. And I actually, if I'm really having a bad problem with this threading a needle thing, then I do tend to just take them out, then thread them and then put them in. So I will do that just to save time, and it's always best to have a nice clean edge. Of the cotton. Yeah, if you did watch the first part, and I did assure you that my scratches from gardening would disappear, I was obviously lying to myself as well as you, because they're still there. Hello. Alright, so I've got my buttons, charms and everything else out of the way. I'm going to give it another go, and if it doesn't work, then I am going to hand sew it. And to be honest with you, I've had to hand sew all the buttons and everything, so it's not too big a thing, is it? So there we are. We're now going through one layer of fleece folded over, so that makes 2, and then probably 4 layers of fur. So, you know, it can be done. They're not special needles. Don't really agree with special needles, because if we're going to break the machine, I want it to break a needle. Yeah? That sounds fair, doesn't it? Okay, now I do have to get this out, and then the next bit is quite easy. So, let's wire that up, that's out, and then we can just pull and tug. So there we are. Managed to unthread it again with my brute strength. I don't know. I am determined to finish this. So, because I had finished it before, and the video was a bit funky, and that's why it was so late when I put it up. But I know. We'll get there. Okay, is this going to work? No. When I am doing hand sewing on these videos, I usually keep a couple of needles ready, so that if I do manage to unpull one, then I can literally just grab another one. Do you think I should have a couple of sewing machines? Okay, so that's what we got left. I know. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to literally pinch this fleece lining together, and I'm going to run a seam of stitches along. So yeah, I only need to worry about the first couple of inches, and then once it starts sewing, I can worry about the next couple of inches, and so on. So let's get that first little bit. That's all I need to worry about under the machine. Now again, all I'm sewing is 4 layers of fleece, but because I'm sewing like the last bit, it's quite likely that the just gravity is going to push everything out of the way. So, you know, I do have to sort of take care. So let's get it started, and let's make sure that the thread is going up through the tensioner, because sometimes that happens. And there we are. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch it again for the next couple of inches, and away I go. And I'm going to make sure things like the head isn't caught up so I can't sew, and I'm going to make sure that all these buttons are out of the way. In fact, I can feel that I'm not catching the fur lining, and all I've got in my little hand is this fleece. So now that it knows it's only sewing fleece, it's trusting me a bit more. It will move faster. So just pinch that last bit and then away I go. Lovely. So how easy was that? Yeah, we're turning round the right way, and okay, I need to spend half an hour getting rid of all the threads. Some of these aren't even attached, you know, and just tidy him up a bit. Obviously he needs a name. I know, I think Mungo, because I haven't had a Mungo for a while. And yeah, I don't know if I like the eyes odd, but I can easily turn that round. Oh, pop, 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 pop. There we go. So he looks a bit more friendly with matching eyes. But there we are, a twiddle muffler, suitable for, I don't know, should we say a special friend? I don't know, but suitable for an older person that just wants something to keep their hands warm and fiddle with whilst they're sat still. Okay, thank you ever so much for watching. Thank you ever so much for your patience. I do hope that you managed to pick up something helpful, whether it's just don't try and do so many layers of fabric in one go. Thank you ever so much for watching.